Hi, welcome to Off Script. I'm Zach Lewis.
And I'm Dr. Draper.
Today on the show, we'll be taking a look at Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, the new Sam Raimi movie, his first in almost a decade, and the 28th film in the Marvel franchise. God, 28 Marvel movies. Good Lord. Is finally out, and we're excited to talk about it. We've seen it. I've seen it twice. Don't let that be a bearing on whether or not you should see it. Recommendations come at the end. We're also going to talk about some exciting trailers coming out. The new Avatar trailer dropped with Doctor Strange. We're going to talk about that. And of course, we need to get to the news. Bit of a light show this week, and light news as well, which is weird. We've taken to kind of dual reviewing. We'll do one Marvel movie for a show if we can, especially if it's a big one like Doctor Strange feels. But hopefully we'll be padded out by news. Not this week. Our first story, Scream 6, is, hold on, I gotta get it on screen. There it is. Greenlit, and they're making Scream 6. Andy, what do you know about Scream 6?
So the main thing is that the kind of newer cast introduced in Scream 5, which starred Melissa Barrera, Jasmine Savoy Brown, Mason Gooden, and Jenna Ortega, they're all coming back. This is kind of like the new young cast of this series, and they're going to film this summer, and we're going to get Scream 6 in late March of 2023. So it's moving pretty quick. And there's a note in this story that they're going to be moving on from Woodsboro. So it's not going to take place in the same town it has for like the previous 5 movies. Yeah. So that'll be interesting.
The Stranger Things season 4 strategy. It's in a different place and therefore worth watching. I don't know what direction they're going to run in with Scream 6. Scream 5 just came out last year and was a surprising return to form for the series following Scream 4's kind of attempted reboot in 2011. Scream 5 was a pretty good movie, actually. Pretty good script, a lot of fun, some good meta humor in there, a couple decent kills. But Scream 5 kind of worked because it ran on the steam of the previous 4 films and kind of satisfyingly tied it off for what it is. I get the new cast. That's a smart angle to go here, but I still don't know if Scream 6 is going to have like a script that's quite as fun as Scream 5 will, you know? And that was a big part of that movie. It's a big part of what worked.
Well, I think what I'm interested to see is if they can actually hand this off to a new generation, because that's what all these legacy sequel movies they depend so much on the old characters, the old stars, and they try to introduce new stars, but the handoff doesn't really happen. We've seen this happen with, the Star Wars franchise. And it seems like all these need like a starter movie, things like Ghostbusters Afterlife, The Matrix Resurrections. It's like, oh, we need to reset everything, introduce new people, set things up, and then we can actually move on to something new. But most of these reboots kind of failed to do that, Star Wars being the best example of this. So I'm going to be interested to see if they can actually move on, not just lean so heavily on the old characters and kind of the old story to really take things in new direction.
Yeah. Either way, I'm excited to see where it goes. I don't think they'll end up dumping the old characters yet. I don't. Maybe this would be the time to do it. I think just not have them come back at all for the movie. But I have a feeling Neve Campbell will show up, right? Like that feels.
I have a prediction inevitable. In like when they get to Scream 10, like she's just going to be the killer. She's had enough. She's just going to be Ghostface.
Yeah, it'll be the Saw formula, right? Like somehow 8 movies in, like she's been pulling the strings all along.
The whole time,
you know it? Yeah. And we thought she was dead. Like it'll be some whole thing. Could be good stuff. A couple of these actresses are really solid. Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega are both actually really great. Jenna Ortega most recently in X, a new Ty West movie that we actually really liked on the show. I don't know. Keep it here on Off Script for more about Scream 6. Our next story, the box office, of course. Doctor Strange 2 is killing it. Good Lord. I guess I thought this movie would do good. It's doing better than good, man. What do you know about this, Andy?
Yes, Doctor Strange, huge weekend box office, made 185 million over the weekend domestic. That's just domestic. They were projecting 100 to 120 in that range, and so it's blown that out of the water, and a huge whopping 450 million globally. So this is gonna be $1 billion property, no doubt. Huge numbers for Marvel once again.
Yeah. I don't know how I continue to be surprised by this. Like I'm not sure how this keeps happening to me. I think a big part of the reason is because I was excited for Doctor Strange 2 as a Sam Raimi movie, the director. We'll get into that more in the review. I wasn't so excited for it as a proper Marvel movie. Doctor Strange is a decent protagonist, right? But I feel like he often plays best kind of on the sidelines, like in Avengers or in Spider-Man No Way Home. Like he's a really good side character, but when he's kind of in the driver's seat, eh. But man, apparently audiences feel totally differently. A ton of people turned out for this film. PG-13, lots of adults, lots of kids, which is additionally surprising because it's a little spooky. And I don't know if they really advertise that in its marketing, but we knew that going in. So yeah, I don't know how that's been playing.
Yeah, they definitely uh hid kind of how much of a horror movie this was going to be, or all the horror elements they were going to have. But the Marvel brand just continues to impress because, I mean, like we've said, there's 28 movies now. You have to have seen a lot. You have to have watched some of the TV shows as well. You have to have watched WandaVision to, I think, really know where you are in this movie, and that's a big guess. But I guess the audiences are keeping up, or even if you haven't, it's just, it's a big kind of tent pole thing, and you can I mean, just like comic books themselves, you can kind of just dive right in, and they more or less catch you up.
Yeah. And it's fortunate that Doctor Strange 2 will play, I think, really great in foreign markets as well. It's got some progressive themes in there, but it's not quite the same position Sony was in with Spider-Man No Way Home when they tried to run it in China. And China was like, well, you got to take out the Statue of Liberty because that's a symbol of freedom that we don't really want to look at for the last act of your film. And Sony was like, that can't happen. So it just didn't come out in China. This movie is not going to have that problem. I think this will absolutely. I mean, it already has, right? It's already premiering in foreign markets. It's got a global start of, good God, $500 million. Like, and it just came out. It's crazy.
And this weekend, it has zero competition. Firestarter is the big release, and that's coming out on Peacock as well. So it's turned into, when there's a big movie like a superhero movie, you just get 2 weeks. You get your 2 weeks undisturbed. No one's coming up against it. So and internationally, spectacle always translate well. That's part of the reason the Fast and Furious series does so well, is like, you don't have to know a bunch about like American culture or the nuances of character. You're just like, huge action set pieces. That's going to always do well overseas.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it's doing well overseas. If not for Marvel, but mostly for my cool favorite new director, Sam Raimi, who I'm excited to talk about when we get into our review for the movie. So, no time to waste. Let's jump right into it. I'm going to be taking the summary on this, so please excuse my clumsy delivery. The movie is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is the second film in the Doctor Strange film series from Marvel. It's Marvel's 28th film, and I think it's the first proper Marvel film for director Sam Raimi. You may know him previously from his work on the Evil Dead series, Evil Dead 1, 2, and then Army of Darkness. Additionally, Drag Me to Hell in 2013, and probably his best known work from the general public is the first 3 Spider-Man movies starring Tobey Maguire. Those are Marvel properties. I don't think they'd quite kicked into like the Marvel Cinematic Universe that we're doing now, which is why I wouldn't say it technically counts, but it was definitely a comic book movie series. There's mention of Doctor Strange and Spider-Man 2 at one point as an offhanded joke. Clearly, Sam Raimi's a fan. And Doctor Strange, sorry, I need to get to the summary somewhere in here. Good God. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is the story of Dr. Stephen Strange. After he meets a young girl with the ability to travel through the multiverse seemingly at will, and trying to kind of harness and understand this power, he recruits the help of the Sorcerer Supreme, Wong, who he lives with, and Wanda Maximoff, who we most recently saw in WandaVision, played by Elizabeth Olsen, to try to tackle this multiversal travel, and unfortunately in that process accidentally open a portal to an unspeakable evil that the heroes of the universe are going to have to come together. The heroes of the multiverse are going to have to come together to defeat. It is about 2 hours long, a little longer than 2 hours. It is chock full of CGI and star power. The movie is Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Andy, what'd you think?
Overall, I really liked it. I had a lot of fun. There's a lot of good humor, good horror, which I wasn't sure how much would be in there. There are some things that don't work as well. It's got some issues, got some problems. But again, the Marvel is just such a strong brand now that it can kind of overcome. And the stuff that works in the film works really well, and it kind of overcomes the weaknesses.
Yeah, I feel the same way. The movie is not quite lopsided. I think it's actually really well paced, but The kind of action set pieces play a lot better than like the plot filled quiet time exposition set pieces between action. So Sam Raimi has a history of producing particularly action oriented film, lots of like big camera moves, lots of dramatic lighting. All of that is present and more. Many of his like traditional filmmaking methods, a lot of his practical effects, all of that's here, which makes the movie very interesting. But some of those in-betweens are where the plot is moving, right? Where we're introducing characters or bringing in a cameo or showing people what's going on. And a lot of this movie was produced by Marvel in a schedule alongside other movies where things have to tie into other things and characters have to come in and leave to go into other films and TV shows. And that can get a little complicated. And it feels like those parts are a bit bogged down. But the more important set pieces, the action, the horror, the adventure, that stuff plays really well. Probably one of the more fun experiences of the later Marvel films, to be sure. Lots of fun.
Right. The spectacle is done really well. We get superhero fights. We have some nice surprises. We have Doctor Strange is known for these kind of crazy effects. I really like the first one. That there's all these things where they're like entering different dimensions and like reality is turning upside down on itself. So we get a lot more of that. The horror stuff is great. If you're a big horror fan, if you've a fan of Sam Raimi and the Evil Dead, and can know horror from the 80s 70s forward. There's a lot of fun stuff in there for you, a lot of references to old problem, and also just things that are like flat out pretty scary. There's a good deal of violence and gore, PG-13 gore, but characters like smeared in blood, zombie kind of things. Yeah, there's some spooky stuff.
Yeah, Raimi is a horror director first. That's where he got his start. Actually, in a bit of horror comedy, really is his blend. He's a big fan of Three Stooges, and film like Evil Dead 2 really like put him on the map. Evil Dead obviously was huge, but I think Evil Dead 2 is where he started to kind of find his style, and that came over into the Spider-Man movies. You may not remember it, but if you go back and watch those movies, they feel distinctly unique. You'll find really great sequences in there that are properly scary. That Doc Ock surgery scene in Spidey 2 where the arms come to life and like they're grabbing. Yeah, it's wild. And like that's the kind of thing Raimi brings to the table. So I think this feels a lot like Raimi for hire, right? Marvel's like, we want your skill on top of our script. And he was like, you got it. And so you get a lot of really, really tremendous horror sequences. I've heard reports of some parents like pulling kids out of the theater, which is great. Because it's properly spooky at times. And I can't remember the last time I saw a film aimed at families, really, and in particular on occasion kids a little bit, right, going to see the hot new Marvel movie, like getting done spooked and like having a couple little nightmares growing up. That stuff is good for people, I think, right? That's how we got goths. That's how we got goth gals, all right? And that's a good thing for all of us. So like, yeah, builds character, freaks you out, makes you weird. And Raimi's no stranger to that. Though those are the moments that work particularly well. Like lots of good throwbacks to his old stuff, gags from Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 even. Really good practical effects. I'll talk about it a little bit more, but I do want to talk about the cast. Pretty small. I mean, it's a big cast what we're working with, but like as far as our top billers go, Benedict Cumberbatch is Dr. Stephen Strange, who's pretty good, I think, in this movie. I liked him in Doctor Strange 1 just fine. Like I said at the top, I think he's a better kind of side character, like a coach-ish than like our proper hero. Elizabeth Olsen is back as Wanda Maximoff in a tremendous performance from her. Really great. I saw it again last night. She's really fantastic. Benedict Wong is back as Sorcerer Supreme. A newcomer. I don't know how to pronounce her name, so I'm just going to go for it.
It's Sochi.
Really?
Yeah, I looked
Xochitl Gomez. No way.
Yeah, I looked it up just to make sure.
Yeah. Yes, coming in as America Chavez, our multiversal traveler. She's pretty solid. I feel like they. I don't know. I want to get to the rewrites thing later, but for now, a solid core cast, right?
Yeah, again, great performances from especially Elizabeth Olsen and Doctor Strange. If anything, Elizabeth Olsen is kind of stealing the show in a lot of ways. We see Rachel McAdams is back as Dr. Christine Palmer, who's the on again, off again kind of love interest of Doctor Strange. She kind of has a little bit more to do in this movie. Of course, newcomer Xochitl Gomez, who kind of she gets a little bit sidelined in this movie. She's a bit of a MacGuffin, and there's a number of MacGuffins in this movie. That's
It's true. Her part. There's times where her part could have been played by like a magic book or like a magic emerald or something. Like she really is just almost an object. The characters are moving around. She's got some character, but I agree.
Right, exactly. So she doesn't get a ton of screen time. And she's almost kind of a fill-in for Spider-Man. She's like the kid that needs arm around her to guide her, in all things superhero. But she's fine. She's fine, and I'm excited to see more from her.
Yeah, she's her character is a little sidelined, right? So it's a bit like the child actor, bringing him into the series, kind of start him off small. But that leaves lots of room for Doctor Strange, and more importantly, the Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff. She is a very tremendous part of this movie, and the advertisements don't really highlight that a lot. Even though it's funny because you look at the poster, if you're watching us on Facebook Live or watching the after show on YouTube, you can see it on screen. She's prominently the most forward thing in the poster. She's front and center. And I think that's probably the visual giveaway that she's a bit more important than it seems. She's a very large part of this movie, and the trailers would have it look like more evil Doctor Strange is kind of running everything behind the scenes, and it's not necessarily what meets the eye. And I think that's good. Marvel did the same thing with their advertising for Spider-Man. Like they never showed Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. They want you to go in and be a little surprised. I think that's good for word of mouth. It makes for a more fun movie. But it also leaves your character a little almost understated. Like there's a world where you change a couple scenes and move a couple things around, and this is a Scarlet Witch movie.
Yeah,
and I think that's good because it's a ton of fun and she's super good in it.
Yeah, definitely a lot of fun. That does kind of lead me to one of the criticisms is that you really definitely need to have watched the WandaVision show. And like a lot of Marvel, you kind of have to have seen all of it or most of it. And so it's interesting to have watched several movies and a TV show to kind of know where we are. But if you have kept up, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, it's a little weird too because the timing of this movie is not as originally intended. Marvel, like we said, likes to add stuff and add cameos and change rewrites and kind of tie characters into movies that are already existing in the schedule. They had big schedules for reshoots. Doctor Strange had like 3 months of reshoots leading right up to December. But then this movie got delayed. This was supposed to come out in 2021 right after WandaVision, and then it got pushed back behind Spider-Man No Way Home and Shang-Chi. They weren't filmed that way though. Elizabeth Olsen apparently rolled off the set of WandaVision and had like 2 weeks downtime, like 13 days, and then came to the set of Doctor Strange to start shooting. To us, the audience, it's been like 2 years, even though it hasn't actually been 2 years. It's been 1 year. But to them, when they shot this, it was one right after the other. So you do get a surprising dip back into Wanda Maximoff, and at times it does feel like this isn't quite the way WandaVision went, or I didn't expect this character to do this. But apparently, this is as intended. This is the way the Marvel gods intend for it to be, and I think Raimi does a good job of getting coverage for all of these moments and tying stuff in. There's a couple scenes in Act 1 and Act 2 that are just real slow. You're just like, okay, like let's get to the goods. And they even have some awkward edits at times. A character will be talking to one character, then when it cuts back, first character is completely turned around looking at something else, and you're like, when did that edit happen? Right? Like, hold on, where was the motion of them turning around? You don't get it. And I don't know if it was just lost in the sauce or what, but it's just odd. Like it's just something I noticed on rewatch. I was like, oh wow, there's scenes here that feel a little like they've been cut around. And if the reports from kind of Marvel sets are true, it's exactly what's going on, which is weird.
Right. That's one of my bigger criticisms of the movie is the kind of plot and story is a little bit all over the place. Our main story is Doctor Strange trying to keep Miss America is what she's called in the comics, but what's her name? I can't remember her name now. It's Xochitl Gomez, but I can't remember her character name.
And I am flipping through IMDb trivia. It is America Chavez. Good
right,
Lord, I
right.
watched it last night. Yeah,
thank you. Again, the plot isn't very straightforward. Like I said, he's trying to keep her safe from like people pursuing her, but then it kind of goes in a lot of different directions. It's not super cohesive. Like I said, there's a lot of MacGuffins because there is her, and then there's like the Darkhold, which is one dark book, and then there's another book they need. And so it's kind of all over the place, and it's not as tight as things like the Captain America trilogy, Winter Soldier, Civil War, and it doesn't do as much of a good job, I think, as tying into the larger Marvel universe and really setting up what is next to come, which is usually what a lot of these movies do. We don't really see where we stand by the end of this.
Yeah, it was something you pointed out, Andy. I think in Slack or something we were looking at. Like the more recent Marvel films, this kind of Phase 4, they don't feel very tied together.
Yeah,
thematically, they're all a little loose, and I don't know if that's because they don't. It's probably because they don't know where they're going. This is the studio that made Star Wars 7, 8, and 9. But it does also lend itself to like feeling like Marvel is letting the directors run a little bit more in their own direction. Eternals felt like very its own film, had its kind of own tonal identity. This has its own kind of tonal identity. Like, I think that's good. I think that's good to help these movies kind of stand apart on their own. And that's part of the reason why this movie has such great horror, which is a new thing for Marvel movies. I'm hard pressed to think of a Marvel movie that's as spooky as this one, right? I can't even think of like particular moments in Marvel movies that are spooky as this one. This one leans all the way in the same way that like Taika Waititi's Thor Ragnarok is like very hair metal, like punk its own thing, 80s glam. This is, 80s horror with a little bit of comedy mixed in, which is nice. That's Sam Raimi stuff.
Yeah, again, we get great horror moments, some slapsticky kind of things, but also some truly terrifying imagery. References to Zombie. There's a reference to The Ring, other kind of definitely nods to Evil Dead, and I mean some stuff that's pretty spooky. And definitely, if you took young children to see it, like they might have some nightmares. It's like no joke.
Yeah, there's a couple shots on rewatch that I'm just like, good God, like I can't believe Disney got this past the MPAA. The House of Mouse knows no bounds. And film Twitter's been laughing about this because the Vanity Fair or somebody, Vice or I forget who, put out a thing that was like maybe Multiverse of Madness should be rated R. And other people are like, no. PG-13's been getting away with some pretty wild violence for a long time. We just don't really talk about it. And this one's got a lot of it back to back, and it feels heavy. And I think for young kids it might be like real young kids. Yeah, it's probably too much, but like I don't know. It's like diet horror. It's like horror light. It's a good introduction to it. And the reason it's such a good introduction is because you've just got such a cast of heroes working together that you never really want to look away, right? You're never really too worried about anybody getting iced, right? In Marvel movies, no one's ever really gone. You're usually pretty confident that your heroes are going to be okay, but because they're so strong when they're running into genuinely terrifying things, like they're brave, right? So it helps the kids be brave and watch these things. And you get to the end of the movie and the kids feel great and they go home and have some nightmares. Like I think it's good for them. I think it rounds them out. And it wouldn't be a Sam Raimi movie without an evil book and basically somebody with the powers of the damned and somebody's hobbling around with black blood on them. Like it's goofy face prosthetics. Like it has all of those things checking every box. It's really tremendous.
The Darkhold is definitely like the Necronomicon.
100%. It like has the same rules. Yeah, like it is functionally the Necronomicon.
Don't read out of that book. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, my other criticism is this is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and the multiverse is not that mad. I expected this to kind of be crazier. We visit a couple of other kind of alternate universes, and I thought we would be getting more like they did in Spider-Man No Way Home, that we would be getting alternate versions of characters to come into the main universe. What we have more of is visiting other multiverses universes, but they're all just kind of bland. And I'm reminded of Everything Everywhere All at Once that did the multiverse thing in an incredible way, like tons and tons of different characters, different universes where people are completely different characters and flipping through them like really, really fast. And this really seems underwhelming in kind of hindsight. We only visit a couple of them, and the characters are largely the same in all of them. Like Doctor Strange just has a different haircut in every movie, and like uh, America Chavez, same thing. She's the same. Wanda's pretty much the same. We do get some surprises, but it wasn't near as crazy as I had kind of expected it to be for something called the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, there's a really ambitious like oneer in this film. Like right about the middle of the first act, when Doctor Strange finally gets pulled into like America's Chavez's like multiverse power to travel the multiverse, and it's this really great one shot where the camera kind of spins around, or CGI characters, of course, and it blasts them through like 18 multiverses, and one of them's like a silent film, and one of them's like cubism, and one of them they're like paint, and that's really cool looking, and you're like, oh man, this is going to go places. And then the rest of the movie doesn't ever actually get to many of those, really probably any of them. You've got a few different like multiverses that you're grounded in, multiverse universes, whatever settings that you're grounded in, worlds, but you don't get to jump a whole round a lot in there. And people have been comparing this to Everything Everywhere All at Once because of them both being multiverse movies, right? What are the odds that in 2022, following a pandemic, we'll be getting two movies about the multiverse back to back, right? Weird, crazy, wild idea. And this movie has like 8 times the budget of Everything Everywhere All at Once, and also has like 8 times the box office returns, more so. Like the bigger investment for Disney has turned out bigger profits. But yeah, if I had to put these two films together on a spectrum of quality of multiversal storytelling, like your ability to use setting and plot and different elements from different universes to grow your characters, and also like emotional impact that comes from that, Everything Ever All at Once beats this every time.
Right.
Every time. And this does a lot that movie doesn't do. They spent that money well, but like uniquely, yeah, if I got to hold the two of them next to each other, somehow the low budget A24 film is a better pick for me, a fan of bold cinema.
No, absolutely. And what you said is with Everything Everywhere having a lot of emotional heart and really good storytelling. That's kind of what's lacking in Multiverse of Madness. That we don't really have a lot of heart. We don't have a lot of like, characters kind of going from A to B, character arcs, or Everything Everywhere is about family trauma, generational trauma, these mother-daughter relationships, about like being happy with the choices that you've made in life, and like there's a lot going on in that movie, and it does it very well, like the story going from A to B. And this I'm not really sure what is Doctor Strange's arc, what is anyone's arc. Everyone's kind of the same from beginning to end. So while it's wildly entertaining, it doesn't have kind of the heart of something like Everything Everywhere All at Once.
It sure doesn't. And a big part of that is because you've got a lot of action in your Sam Raimi movie, and a lot of horror, and it's not going to spend a lot of time working out relationships. That's not necessarily a priority here. But of the relationship stuff, you do get kind of the emotional impact stuff. It's Benedict Cumberbatch and Rachel McAdams, who have no chemistry on screen. Like the two of them are so flat together. I don't know how that happens. They just kind of don't. Like they just don't elicit. Like Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany in WandaVision are so much more an interesting on-screen couple. And they actually bounce off each other well, and the two of them can have a conversation, and you're kind of interested in both characters. But like, I don't know, like Doctor Strange and Christine, I don't know her last name in the film, are just not Christine Palmer. They just don't have it, and they didn't have it in the first movie, and they don't really have it in this one. And that's kind of a bummer. But there are some quality Marvel cameos in here, which were a surprise. I didn't get them spoiled by the internet. Andy had one spoiled.
I was so mad. And it's not a huge plot point, but it's still,
no.
We all like to be surprised, and
yeah,
this surprise was ruined for me. I'm not going to this boycotting Collider.com.
Yeah, right. Not going to name names. Collider.com. Anyway, I think the internet for the most part has come around to be pretty decent about spoilers, unless you're on like Twitter or like Collider, or you're going somewhere where you're like kind of looking for it. For the most part, I don't have people spoiling it for me, right? I think we've done enough with 28 Marvel films. My God, like we've done enough of these that people know your best experience is opening weekend, seeing it with a crowd. And as we get away from it, there'll be less opportunity to do that. I did enjoy watching it in a room full of people, lots of gasps, a couple cheers, like the exciting opening night stuff from Marvel film. But our theater wasn't packed. It was, it was moderately.
It was moderately full, but not.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was an early Friday show or early Thursday show, but Thursday's the day it came out. I figured it'd be a lot busier, but since then, they have had no trouble making $500 million around the world. And it seems like this is going to be a win for Marvel. Andy, do you think they're going to do more? First off, more work with Sam Raimi, and secondly, more, I don't know, horror-oriented stuff. Where do you? What is Disney's takeaway from this?
I think it's a director kind of thing. It's like Taika Waititi is getting Thor: Love and Thunder, so you're going to get another comedy. So if they like what he's done, and I mean he's making the money, so I imagine I could see him getting another movie. And they have to kind of lift up the group movies, because like the group movies like Avengers are the really big money makers, but you gotta set up stuff along the way. You gotta have individual character movies. So I'm sure we'll get Doctor Strange 3.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's next in the hopper for the character of Doctor Strange. I'm sure he'll appear as a side character and a couple other things. But as for Sam Raimi, it seems like he likes doing them. He's been praising Disney and Marvel in interviews, saying they're super easy to work with. This is his first movie in 9 years. His last movie was Oz the Great and Powerful, which is also a Disney film. So obviously he's got some clout with the studio. They're going to love the runaway numbers on this, of course. I don't know how they'll feel about the general reception to some of the spookier bits. I think they'll get scared by parents who are calling in and writing emails and getting on Facebook like, my child was horrified.
You can't sell Zombie Strange.
No, yeah. Even though he's awesome, but yeah, apparently you can't. But I think he will likely do more. I don't know where Sam Raimi. I don't know where Doctor Strange is headed next, but they gotta, I don't know. I do think Marvel's got to start to find a through line thematically through all of these movies, because they feel really different, and I don't know where they're headed next.
Yeah, like there's a lot of separate elements, and before phase 1 was very exciting because it was like Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, Avengers. Like you knew where it was headed, and now we don't know. We have some whisperings of different big bad guys.
Yeah.
But we don't really know. It's all kind of disparate at the moment.
Yeah. It seems like they're going to wade further into the obscure, right? Following Eternals, I think they're working on a Blade reboot starring Mahershala Ali. You got some Egyptian magic with Moon Knight on Disney Plus, and you got some multiverse stuff with America Chavez. Like, they're definitely introducing a lot of elements. It just seems a little more disparate than last time. Yeah, the previous phases were very straightforward. We're get all the hits. Here's the Avengers, couple Avengers movies. Bam, we're on our way. Guardians of the Galaxy was the weirdest thing you saw. Now, I don't know, but I'm excited that this happened. It's like I said, it's a little darker in moments than I would expect from Disney. So I'm glad it's here. I hope Sam Raimi makes 80 more films before he dies.
Absolutely.
Oh, one more thing. The score. Danny Elfman. We didn't even talk about it.
Yeah.
This is Danny Elfman's 16th comic book movie. I was reading on IMDb, which is crazy. And a return with him and Sam Raimi from their Spider-Man movies. Sam Raimi also brings his own editor over to this one. Good Elfman score. Uniquely does not use any of Michael Giacchino's Doctor Strange theme. Which
I couldn't tell you what it was.
Yeah, not only do Andy and I not know what Michael Giacchino's Doctor Strange theme is, but I bet nobody listening to the show could hum it or sing it or whatever, like off the top of your head. Nobody knows it. But still unique for him to just completely abandon. I think somebody said it's like in there once, really briefly, as an undertone or something. Like otherwise, it just doesn't exist. It's a fine score. Very, very exciting. Classic Elfman, moves up and down and has a couple of good comic throwbacks, I think, from some of his previous work. He's made 16 comic book movie scores after all. Overall, pretty pleasant. But I thought it was worth mentioning because there's some music oriented action later in the film that I think is worth highlighting, because composers don't often get to do stuff like that. So
you're right.
Something to look out for.
Well, I think I'm ready.
Andy, would you recommend Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness?
Would definitely recommend it to fans of the Marvel series and of comic book movies. If you've been following along, you're going to love it. Fans of horror as well. I know some people haven't kept up as much, but I think if you're a big fan of horror and Sam Raimi, you'll also enjoy it. The only people I think may not want is if you're not into the superhero thing and you haven't been keeping up with all 28 Marvel films, you might be really lost. Like I said, you have to have seen several movies and watch a TV show to know what's going on. So if that's not your interest, then probably skip it. But
Yeah,
overall, I highly recommend. A lot of fun.
for the most part, I agree. At times, it does feel like a generic Marvel film. I'll be honest, but I think this movie's got a unique identity in its director. If you are a Sam Raimi fan, you're gonna have a ton of fun watching this movie. There's throwbacks to old work. There's cameos. There's good stuff. And if you're a general Marvel fan, I think this is one of the more exciting features they put out in a little while. I think it does some things differently. I think it's got some good spooks. That's good for everybody. I'm a fan. I think this kind of stuff broadens audiences a little bit to what's possible. Broadens the mind, right? It encourages you to try different things, and for kids to get in a little bit of horror in their new Marvel feature, I think that's good. I think it's good stuff. Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. I am a fan. So yeah. And that's Doctor Strange. Next up, we need to talk about some exciting trailers coming out. Andy, you want to introduce this segment?
It's time for the trailer park. So we had a bunch of trailers over the last few weeks that we're going to be going through. The first one is a new horror film from A24 called Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. This is a kind of horror whodunit starring a bunch of people I don't know. Pete Davidson is in it.
And Pete Davidson, yeah.
The cast is, it's a group of what looks like mostly girls, young teens in a house kind of having a party. They decide to play a game called Bodies, 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 kind of a hide and seek game. And someone turns up dead, and it turns into a whodunit, but also a bit of a survival thing. And it's specifically kind of aimed at Gen X. There's a ton of Gen Z, not Gen X, Gen Z. There's a ton of Gen Z language and kind of idioms and things like that. It looks like a lot of fun horror comedy. Zach, what do you think?
I think it looks good. It's surprising coming out of A24. When I think of these kind of movies from them, I think of movies like Slice, starring Chance the Rapper, which looked kind of cool and then never came out to anything because apparently it was real bad. I think A24 likes taking chances on unique features like this. I know they're only distributing, but this movie looks like one part Scream 5, one part Assassination Nation, and Assassination Nation was super good. And I still think that movie's rad, and more people should go back and watch it. Very modern, very trendy, but looks decent. Looks like some decent scares. I like the name of this game, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. Pete Davidson looks like he's, Pete doing the Pete Davidson gag. Like
barely alive.
Like you said, yeah, there's a cast of exciting new actors and actresses in this film, none of which I know anything about, and also Pete Davidson. He's like modern white stoner Bill Murray, right? Like the same gag. He's just kind of a
Seth Rogen of our time.
Yes,
the younger.
Stick him in. Yes,
except Seth Rogen from 15 years ago.
Dating Kim Kardashian. Yeah. So Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. Looks like fun. Excited to find out more. The next trailer we need to talk about is the new film from Olivia Wilde, Don't Worry, Darling. Don't Worry, Darling is her follow-up to Booksmart in 2019. Really cool, edgy, up-and-coming comedy about adolescents and young women who are graduating. Andy and I were tremendous fans. You can go back and listen to our review on the show. I think we both watched it at least once again since. If you haven't seen Booksmart, it's on Hulu. But Bodies, Don't Worry, Darling. Seems like a dystopian tale of Florence Pugh and her wonderful husband, played by Harry Styles, who've escaped to a unique kind of utopian community full of husbands and wives who appear to be living in something like the 50s or the 60s. All the husbands in the area do some kind of discreet work for a company run by Chris Pine, who appears to be an antagonist in this film. And upon kind of investigating and looking into it, Florence Pugh discovers that not all is as it seems in her wonderful community. The movie also stars Olivia Wilde and Chris Pine, like I said. And what's interesting about the trailer for Don't Worry, Darling is that it starts as kind of a sci-fi, romance, I guess. The two, Harry Styles and Florence Pugh, very madly in love. And then it kind of becomes this dystopian, like, hey, there's something going on here and we got to figure it out. Very Truman Show-esque. But uniquely, it wraps in the triumphance of the ending of the Truman Show. Like Florence Pugh discovering what's happening here, that journey is what the movie's going to be about. And I like the way the score kind of sweeps in this trailer to highlight that towards the end, that, hey, this isn't just about like weird, creepy stuff happening. It's more a tale of like discovery and growth. And that seems very on brand for Olivia Wilde, at least in her previous work. Really interesting trailer for Don't Worry, Darling. Andy, what do you think?
This looks great. I just rewatched the trailer today. It looks really exciting. Great cast, like you said, Florence Pugh, Olivia Wilde, Gemma Chan as well, Harry Styles.
Yeah.
It looks like a little bit of a mixture of something like The Truman Show, The 13th Floor, and Stepford Wives as well. You know, you have all these women who are just like, well, they just need to stay. They're just staying at home, tending the house, not asking questions, and their husbands are kind of working for some sort of mysterious thing that no one really knows what it is. It's like, oh, we're just doing the thing. We're changing the future. And we don't really know. And eventually, you know, people start asking questions. Reminds me a little bit of Pleasantville as well. So influenced by a lot of things. Looks like it just looks really good. Comes out in September.
Yeah, looks like something we'll be going to see. Booksmart was solid. Also, if you haven't, it's on Hulu. Go watch Booksmart. Anyway, Andy, what's next?
Crimes of the Future, which we saw a brief trailer a couple of weeks ago, and then we saw a full trailer this week. I don't know what this movie's about, but it made me squirm so much. It's David Cronenberg's latest. All we really know is it's a futuristic film where man has kind of become synthetic, or it had to adapt to an artificial environment. And so there's all this like surgery and kind of artificial things that are people doing to their bodies because they can. There's a line that says, you know, pain has been eliminated, so maybe it's a little bit easier to do these kinds of things. I'm not sure what the plot itself is, but it looks super creepy. Got a little bit of that noir feel. Stars Lea Seydoux, Kristen Stewart, and Viggo Mortensen, longtime collaborator of Cronenberg.
Yes, the king of body horror, Canadian director David Cronenberg, is back with Crimes of the Future. I'm very excited about this movie. It looks like most of it's shot inside of like the Alien Queen set from Alien 4. Like everything's covered in slime, and it looks like H.R. Geiger like just went mad in there, creating weird fleshy looking chairs and stuff. Like this looks wild. There was a report this morning. Apparently Cronenberg has said people are like fainting in theaters. Some good old fashioned like Alfred Hitchcock hucksterism, right? Going into your movie. Like it's so horrifying. We got to have priests on standby. There's gonna be nurses waiting
paramedics stand by.
Yeah, there's gonna be people with stretchers to carry you out because it's gonna be so scary. But for what it's worth, like Cronenberg has quite the track record in this. Director of Fly, Videodrome, a movie I'm a big fan of. You know, and just some goofy kind of work. Like this is gonna be something, and it may be lame. Maybe it's just good trailer footage. But man, I feel like I'm gonna be squirming in my seat, similar to when we watched Titan. Like really good stuff. And lastly, we need to talk about the biggest trailer of the year, maybe the decade, the decade, premiering in front of Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, and available now online. The trailer is Avatar: The Way of Water. New Avatar trailer is about 2 minutes long, features our characters from our original film, Jake Sully, and I don't remember her name, Neytiri. Nefertiti. Come on now, Neytiri.
Close enough. Yes, I see that, but I can't remember.
We get a lot of quick images of the world and great music, lots of water, oceanside stuff. This film is set about a decade after the previous Avatar, and looks like there's been some developments on Pandora. Humans and they're not blue people. I don't remember their names.
The Na'vi.
Na'vi are working alongside one another, and they're working at the military base together. And then you see another human running around with them, like Donnie from the Wild Thornberries, wearing an oxygen mask. You get one line at the end from Jake Sully when he says, "I know one thing, wherever we go, this family is our fortress," and then Avatar 2. And the music kind of plays out a little bit, and then it ends.
My eyes out of my skull.
I think it is the best possible opener for Avatar 2, because it seems like so many people have forgotten, and like the only way to bring general audiences back to Avatar is the striking visuals. That was the most entertaining thing about it, the spectacle of the previous version. And no, this wasn't advertised in crisp and glorious 3D. I'm mildly interested. I am. In fact, watching the trailer again, I'm like, okay, who knows? This is James Cameron. This is the director of Titanic and Terminator 2 and Aliens and Avatar. Like, if anybody can do it, right? Like, if any auteur can spend $1 billion making blue space people the movie and it would be cool, it's him. So, like, in a weird way, I'm kind of mildly excited about it, if anything, for the memes, right? And who knows? Maybe there'll be a decent movie in there. Andy, what did you think of the trailer for Avatar: The Way of Water?
If you would have told me that it was footage from the first movie, I wouldn't have known any difference. It looks so similar. It does look really stunning. I watched it again today at home and it does look really good. Like the effects are top notch. Again, it's called The Way of Water. I heard they did a ton of on the water and underwater filming, and so that looks really good. Like the effects are top notch, but it's just like we don't get any plot details. But also, it's just like does anyone really care anymore? Again, the big demographic that drives the money are 18 to 34 males. Is this going to tap into that audience? Maybe not. I mean, I don't think you should bet against James Cameron, but I also just don't see this being the kind of hit that he's made before.
It's going to be okay. It's weird because Avatar 1, I don't think was speculated to be like the monster, one of the top 5 biggest films ever, like film that it came out to be. And then it came out and it was such a spectacle, and it came out right when 3D was a thing, and 3D was really good and it was really good effects. Like, it was a huge deal. But since then, it hasn't had much cultural impact. Disney, of course, has built Pandora, the land off of Animal Kingdom in Walt Disney World in Florida. They spent a ton of money on that, buying the theme park rights to it after Universal locked down Harry Potter, and they got super jealous, but that's irrelevant. They're invested. Disney's invested. James Cameron's invested. They've already shot Avatar 2 and 3. They're apparently, I've heard they've shot a bunch of 4 and 5, but I've also heard people say they haven't started production on that at all. So like either way, we're getting this movie and we're getting another movie. And if James Cameron has his way, and he typically does, we're going to get 4 and 5. It's also worth mentioning, on average, James Cameron comes out with a new movie once every like 12 years. So he made George R.R. Martin us. Maybe we won't get the end of Avatar till like he's on death's door or at all. But like I said, I'm uniquely excited by a director having the clout to come out and be like, no, I'm going to spend $1 bajillion making my vision of like this Avatar world, man. It's the way it's going to be. So like, I don't know. It's going to be something. Avatar: The Way of Water. It's either going to, I don't know.
That second trailer better be bomb. The most exciting thing I've ever seen.
Much more plot, I'm sure. Much more engagement from characters. Oh, and also Avatar 2 will play great in foreign markets. Let's be clear. This will make a ton of money in foreign markets. There's not going to be anything in there that has to be edited out in post for foreign markets. Like China and Russia are not going to see stuff and say, "Hey, that's a symbol of the LGBTQ or freedom or whatever." That's not going to be in there at all. It's going to be great. Like so it'll make money, but I'm in the same boat, man. I don't know if people are going to turn out for Avatar 2 like they did for Spider-Man, right? Or Doctor Strange. I just don't know.
I think a good measure might be something like Top Gun Maverick that comes out at the end of this month. They're wanting that. They're hoping that will make Batman money, and like there's just no way. Especially the older generations have been very reluctant to come back to the theater, and that's kind of who this is going to be aimed at. I mean, it's aimed at everyone. It's family friendly, but I just don't think it's going to be this huge massive hit. I would be really surprised if it was. I think it'll be fine. It comes out during the holidays. It's family friendly. It's a special effects vehicle. Take your mom. It'll right. It's gonna win the weekend maybe, and Shazam 2 very quickly vacated that date once they heard that Avatar 2 was coming out that day. So we'll see.
Yeah, people don't want to mess with the House of Mass. They'll knock you out. They'll run Doctor Strange 70 times in New York Times Square AMC before they let any other films in on their opening weekends. Yeah, we're gonna have to wait and see. And also, the byline for this, the most important bit. Remember, Disney's schedule is to do an Avatar movie in December and then do a Star Wars movie next December. An Avatar and Star Wars and Avatar. So that means with this trailer, we're one step closer to a new Star Wars movie, because apparently next December, that's happening. Not this one upcoming, but the one after.
I don't think it'll
That's
be.
what they got in the schedule. We'll
we'll
see.
We'll see. Yeah, if that's
Sure
true, then
will.
I think that means we might see a Star Wars teaser like in December when this comes out. I haven't heard anything though. I can't imagine they
Nothing.
have something ready for 2023. I heard 2024 is the earliest we're going to get a Star Wars.
I mean, if they're rolling out Avatar, like technically that means
We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, it could
I
be
don't know.
possible.
We'll see. We'll see. And with that, we should probably wrap the show. Like I said, typically we do 2 reviews on Off Script, but this week it's just the one because Doctor Strange was kind of a big deal. And I wish we'd be able to talk about it a little bit more, but we don't want to walk in circles. What we do want to do is talk about what we're watching next week. Andy, what are we watching next week?
I'm a Firestarter. So the remake of Firestarter, the 1980 or so book by Stephen King, which originally starred Drew Barrymore, comes out this week. It stars Zac Efron and a newcomer who I'm going to try and look up really quickly. Nope, can't see it.
Oh, gosh, I don't know.
But it's also going to be coming out on at the same time on Peacock. Ryan Kira Armstrong is the titular character, titular Firestarter. So this is interesting because this is still going to be a hybrid release, and the trailer kind of gives away the whole movie. But it's the only big release coming out, and Doctor Strange is probably going to dominate the weekend. But that's what we'll be checking out. We'll see how that is, and we're also going to be going way back to 2014 to watch Ex Machina, which was Alex Garland's first film. Its directorial debut, which starred Domhnall Gleeson, Oscar Isaac, and Alicia Vikander. And we're watching. The reason we're going back to that is because his new film Men comes out the following week on May 20th or 23rd.
Yes, our men review will be a little staggered. I'm going to be out of town for my sister's wedding, but when we get back, we'll be watching Men at the end of the month alongside
Top Gun.
Probably Top Gun. I don't know when we're going to watch Chippendale Rescue Rangers at Disney Plus. I don't know when we're going to watch.
I thought that was a show.
Movie. No, it's one film. It's like
gosh.
1 2 hour. It's a Who Framed Roger Rabbit style, mashup. Whatever. The point is, next week we're watching Firestarter and Ex Machina. We would watch Annihilation, Alex Garland's most recent work, but we already covered it on the show. Covered that a while back, actually, and you should go check out that review if you want to find our old review of Annihilation. I was about to say Ex Machina, or any of our other reviews. You can find us on Facebook, where we live stream the show every Tuesday. You can find us on YouTube, where we upload our archives shortly after. You can find us on iTunes and Spotify and Google Play and iHeartMedia and all the usual places you get your podcasts. Or on Instagram, or on Twitter, and you can find all our old content on there. You can write into the show at mail@offscriptfilmreview.com, or just leave a comment below this video, and you can tell us what you thought of the episode, what you're thinking about watching. I don't know. Leave us a little correspondence, and if it's good, maybe we'll read it on the air. Well, maybe we'll talk about it live on the show. Talk back to you right here on our favorite movie show. You can visit our website, offscriptfilmreview.com, to find old interviews, episodes, and more content from us. And most importantly, if you like what we're doing here on Offscript, you can subscribe. Just subscribe to the show to get new episodes delivered straight to your phone every single Tuesday when we do them, unless I'm out of town for my sister's wedding. And you can rate and review and, tell all the world about Offscript Film Review, the home of bold cinema. I think that's got it for the week. Yep, feel good about it. From all of us at Offscript, the home of bold cinema, I'm Zach Lewis.
And I'm Dr. Draper.
Thanks for